You are listening to Velvet Audio Stories. Boost your IQ.
Chapter 6. Disappearing Again. Lena Carter had dealt with many strange clients. Hotel owners demanding a lobby that looked like the Palace of Versailles. Millionaires wanting bedrooms that looked Instagrammable. But never had a real billionaire walked into her tiny office. And certainly never the man she had shared whiskey with just last night. Maya was standing by the office glass partition, her eyes still wide. He's out there. Lena looked up from her desk. Are you sure? The whole city knows his face, Maya said. Knight Industries. Top 50 richest people. Lena let out a sigh. Damn it. Maya raised an eyebrow. You know him? Lena hesitated for a second. No, she said. Just ran into him once. Where? Lena stood up. In his hotel room. Maya froze. What? Lena raised a hand. Don't ask. In the reception area, Adrian Knight was standing by the window. Black suit. Tall frame. His presence made the small room feel entirely different. Two young designers were pretending to work, but were actually stealing glances. My God, one whispered. That really is Adrian Knight. The other nodded. He's even more handsome than on TV. The office door opened. Lena stepped out. She wore a simple white shirt and jeans. Not much makeup. But when Adrian turned around, he realized one thing. She was exactly the same as last night. Not trying to impress. Not trying to look perfect. Just Lena. Their eyes met. 1 second. 2. 3. Lena crossed her arms. All right, she said. This must be the first time in history a billionaire has set foot in my little office. Adrian gave a slight arch of his brow. Are you disappointed? No, Lena said. I'm just a little worried. About what? That I did something stupid last night. Adrian gave a soft smile. You just walked into the wrong room. Lena tilted her head. You remember. Hard to forget. A short silence followed. Lena pointed toward the small meeting room. We should talk in there. Adrian nodded. The meeting room. A wooden table. 3 chairs. A large drafting board. Lena closed the door and turned back to Adrian. All right, she said. What do you want? Adrian sat down. Business. Lena raised an eyebrow. Business? The Aurelia Hotel. Lena blinked. The hotel from last night? Adrian nodded. We're renovating the penthouse. Lena sat down across from him. And you want me to design it? Yes. Lena stared at him for a few seconds, then spoke bluntly. Do you have any idea how small my company is? Yes. There are only 6 of us. I know. Then why wouldn't you hire a major studio? Adrian shrugged. I like your style. Lena tilted her head. You've never seen my designs. Adrian smiled faintly. True. So you're lying. Adrian didn't argue. He just watched her. Do you always speak this frankly? Usually, Lena said. It saves time. Adrian nodded. I like that. Lena leaned back in her chair. Fine, she said. Tell the truth then. Are you hiring me because I walked into the wrong room last night? Adrian tilted his head. Is that what you think? Yes. And does that bother you? No, Lena said. It makes me curious. Adrian gave a soft laugh. You were always curious. Lena frowned. You know me? Adrian paused for a beat. Then he said, no. Lena watched him longer, as if trying to read his mind. All right, she said. Let's get to work. She picked up her tablet. How many square meters is the penthouse? 300. Lena gave a low whistle. Well, you don't live poorly. Adrian shrugged. I try. Lena continued her questions. Style? Modern. Minimalist. Clean. Lena made some notes, then looked up. Budget? Adrian looked her straight in the eye. Unlimited. Lena's pen stopped. What did you just say? Unlimited. Lena sighed. I hate clients who say that. Adrian raised an eyebrow. Why? Because they usually change their minds once they see the bill. Adrian laughed. You won't have that problem. Lena looked at him for a few seconds, then shook her head. You really are a billionaire. Adrian tilted his head. You had doubts? No, Lena said. I'm just getting used to it. A light silence fell between them. Adrian watched her, the way she worked, the way she thought, the way she spoke. It was all the girl in the rain. Just more mature, stronger. Finally, Lena looked up. One more question. Adrian raised an eyebrow. What? Lena looked him directly in the eye. Why do you look at me as if you've known me for a long time? The room went quiet. Adrian didn't answer immediately. He only said one thing. Perhaps we've met before. Lena laughed. Impossible. I definitely would have remembered. Adrian looked at her, a very slight smile on his face. Maybe, he said, only one of us remembers. Chapter 7. The second meeting. Lena Carter didn't like overly powerful men. Her experience had taught her one simple truth. People with too much money usually thought they could buy everything. Houses, reputation, people, and sometimes, they thought they could buy her. But Adrian Knight wasn't like those men. And that made Lena even more uncomfortable. After Adrian left her office, the room remained silent for a few seconds. Then Maya turned to Lena. "All right," she said. "You're going to have to explain." Lena was staring at the contract on her desk. "Explain what?" "This." Maya pointed toward the door. "A billionaire just walked out of our office. And you treated him like he was a plumber." Lena shrugged. "He's just a person." Maya's eyes widened. "A person with $8 billion. Minor detail." Maya sat down. "You know what's weird?" "What?" "The way he looked at you. Like, he's known you for a long time." Lena froze for a second, then shook her head. "You're imagining things." Maya tilted her head. "No. Did you see that look?" "What look?" "The look of a man." Maya spoke slowly, who has already made up his mind about something. Lena laughed. "You watch too many movies." But in her head, a small thought lingered. Why did he look at me like that? At the same time, in the building's elevator, Claire stood beside Adrian. She had watched the meeting from the start. She said nothing until the elevator doors closed. "You didn't tell her," Claire said. Adrian watched the floor numbers change. "Not yet. Are you sure about that?" "Positive." Claire crossed her arms. "She didn't recognize you." "No. And that doesn't bother you?" Adrian gave a soft smile. "No." Claire frowned. "Really?" Adrian turned to look at her. "If she recognized me right away, everything would be different." Claire understood. "She would look at you like everyone else does." "Exactly," Adrian said. "And I don't want that." Evening. A major event at the Aurelia Hotel. Lena stood before the bathroom mirror, adjusting her simple black dress. She didn't like these kinds of parties. Too many people. Too much alcohol. Too many fake conversations. But this was a client. And the client paid. Maya stood behind her. "Do you know who's going to be here tonight?" Lena sighed. "If you say it one more time." "Adrian Knight." Lena spun around. "What?" "He's the project owner," Maya said. "Of course he'll be here." Lena closed her eyes for a second. Great. The hotel ballroom was ablaze with lights. Soft jazz played. Expensive suits. Shimmering evening gowns. Lena stood near the bar, holding a glass of champagne. She scanned the room. No sign of Adrian. "I'm starting to think he's not coming," Maya said. "Are you disappointed?" "No. Just curious." Right then, the ballroom doors opened. Adrian Knight stepped inside. The entire room seemed to shift instantly. Conversations slowed. Heads turned. Eyes followed him. Adrian didn't notice. He was looking at Lena, standing by the bar. Simple black dress. Blonde hair falling over her shoulders. The light reflecting in her blue eyes. Claire whispered beside him, "Do you see her?" Adrian nodded. "Yes." Claire smiled. "And?" Adrian began walking toward the bar. "And I want to talk to her." Lena was taking a sip of champagne when she heard the familiar voice. "You should be careful." She turned. Adrian was standing right beside her. "With what?" Lena asked. "Champagne," Adrian said. "It makes people make bad decisions." Lena laughed. "You sound like you have experience." Adrian shrugged. "Maybe." Lena watched him for a few seconds, then said, "Do you know what's interesting?" "What?" "You show up everywhere I go today." Adrian tilted his head. "Maybe because this is my hotel." Lena blinked. "Oh." Adrian smiled softly. "Right. Minor detail." Lena shook her head. "All right," she said. "You win." Adrian raised an eyebrow. "Win what?" "The billionaire appearing out of nowhere game." Adrian laughed. "It's not a game." "Then what is it?" Adrian looked at her, his gaze darkening. "A coincidence." Lena took a sip of champagne. "I don't believe in coincidences." Adrian arched an eyebrow. "You don't?" "No," Lena said. "I believe in wealthy men who like to control everything." Adrian laughed. "You think I'm controlling this?" Lena looked at him. "You tell me." Adrian didn't answer. He just stared at her. 1 second. 2. Then he said, "Maybe. Maybe it's destiny." Lena laughed out loud. "You're back to that again." Adrian took a sip of whiskey from his glass. "Could be." Lena watched him. A strange sensation stirred in her heart. As if this wasn't the first time they had met. But she quickly shook her head. "Don't be stupid," she told herself. But Adrian Knight was thinking something completely different. This time, I won't let you disappear again. Chapter 8. The Proposal. Lena Carter always believed she was quite good at reading people. Her profession demanded it. When you design a home for someone, you have to understand what kind of person they are. The controlling type, the boastful type, the attention-seeking type. But Adrian Knight was a puzzle Lena couldn't solve. And that made her curious. The party was gradually becoming louder. The jazz shifted to a faster tempo. Groups of people gathered into conversational circles. But Lena heard almost nothing. Because Adrian Knight was still standing right in front of her. Too close. Close enough that she could smell the faint scent of cologne on his suit. Not overpowering. Just enough. You're staring at me, Lena said. Adrian raised an eyebrow. I think that's fairly obvious. And what? How much longer do you plan on staring? Adrian took a sip of his whiskey. Until you stop pretending not to notice. Lena burst out laughing. You really are the dangerous type. Adrian tilted his head. Dangerous? Yeah, Lena said. The type that makes women do stupid things. Adrian looked at her a moment longer. Like walking into the wrong hotel room? Lena shook her head. That was the alcohol. Adrian smiled slightly. Are you sure? Lena looked him straight in the eye. 1 second. 2. Then she turned away. All right, she said. Let's talk business. Adrian set his glass on the table. Fine. Lena crossed her arms. The penthouse. What do you want? Adrian didn't answer immediately. He looked at her, not with the eyes of a client, but of a man trying to understand a woman. You, he said. Lena blinked. I'm sorry? Adrian gave a soft smile. I want you to design it. Lena let out a breath. I thought you were saying something else. Adrian shrugged. Maybe. Lena shook her head. All right. Penthouse. Modern style. Unlimited budget. Adrian nodded. Correct. Lena tilted her head. But one thing is still strange. What? You have 100 major design firms ready to work for you. Adrian took a sip of whiskey. I do. So why me? Adrian looked her directly in the eye. Because I like the way you talk to me. Lena laughed. You like being insulted? No, Adrian said. I like the truth. Lena tilted her head. You know what? What? You're the first billionaire I've met who doesn't try to appear perfect. Adrian shrugged. Perfect is exhausting. True, Lena said. I hate pretending, too. A moment of silence passed. Not an uncomfortable silence, but the kind where two people are observing each other. Judging. Curious. Adrian stepped closer. 1 step. The distance between them was only a few dozen centimeters. Lena didn't back away, but she didn't move, either. Adrian looked down. His gaze lingered on her lips, then returned to her eyes. His voice dropped lower. Do you know what's dangerous? Lena tilted her head slightly. What? You? Lena laughed. Are you trying to flirt with me? Adrian didn't smile. No. Then what are you doing? Adrian spoke slowly. I'm trying not to. 1 second of silence. 2. 3. Lena felt her heart beat faster. She didn't know why. She had met many attractive men. But Adrian was not like them. He didn't try to impress. He didn't try to seduce. But his confidence was lethal. Lena set her champagne glass down. All right, she said. Let's get one thing straight. Adrian raised an eyebrow. What? You hired me. Correct. We worked together. Correct. And beyond that, Lena said, there is nothing else. Adrian watched her for a few seconds, then asked, Are you sure? Lena crossed her arms. What do you think? Adrian gave a soft smile. No. No what? Not sure. Lena looked at her. You certainly are confident. Adrian tilted his head. No, he said. I'm just a good observer. Observing what? Adrian looked down at her hand. Her fingers were gripping the stem of the champagne glass slightly tight. Then he looked back at her eyes. You're curious, too. Lena opened her mouth to argue, but then stopped. Adrian laughed. A small laugh, but a dangerous one. See, he said. You didn't deny it. Lena shook her head. You really are trouble. Adrian shrugged. Perhaps. Lena sighed. Then she said, Fine. The penthouse. I'll send the concept sketches in 3 days. Adrian nodded. Good. Lena turned to leave. But Adrian said, Lena? She turned back. What? Adrian looked at her. His gaze was deeper now. Do you believe in promises? Lena frowned. What promise? Adrian didn't answer. He only said, We'll meet again. Lena gave a small smile. We're working together. Of course we'll meet again. Adrian shook his head. No. I mean, he paused. Sooner than you think. Lena looked at him for a few seconds, then walked away. But as she passed through the ballroom doors, she didn't realize one thing. Her heart was still racing. As for Adrian Knight, he knew one thing for certain. 15 years ago, he had promised to find her. And this time, he wouldn't let her leave again. Chapter 9. The Tension. 3 days after the party, Lena Carter still couldn't decide what bothered her more, Adrian Knight or herself. Mornings in the design studio were always hectic. Blueprints spread across tables, samples of wood, stone, and fabric everywhere. Laptops open with dozens of design files. But Lena sat motionless before her screen. The cursor blinked. The penthouse design was nearly finished. Only a few details remained. But her head wasn't there. It kept drifting back to another moment. A look, a smile, a sentence. You're curious, too. Lena let out a sharp breath. Damn it. Maya looked up from her laptop. Who are you cursing at? Lena rubbed her forehead. A client. Which one? Lena looked at the screen. The file name read, Knight Penthouse. Maya smirked. Oh, him. Lena glared at her. Don't start. You're thinking about him. I'm thinking about work. No, Maya said. You're thinking about the way he looks at you. Lena fell silent. And that was exactly the problem. Because Maya was right. On the other side of the city, Adrian Knight sat in his 80th floor office. Claire placed a folder on his desk. The hotel project report. Adrian nodded but didn't open it. Claire crossed her arms. You're not reading it. No. Claire watched him for a few seconds before speaking bluntly. You're thinking about her. Adrian raised an eyebrow. Her? Claire shrugged. Lena Carter. Adrian didn't deny it. Claire sighed. You've never been like this. Like what? Distracted. Adrian took a sip of his coffee. She's part of the project. Claire gave a soft laugh. Right. And I'm the Queen of England. Adrian set the cup down. Claire. Yes? Do you ever think that? Adrian paused for a beat. Everything happens for a reason? Claire frowned. Are you talking about destiny? Adrian shook his head. No, I'm talking about a promise. Claire watched him for a long moment. Then she asked, when are you going to tell her? Adrian looked out the glass window. The city stretched out below. Not yet. Afternoon. Carter Design Studio. The door opened. Lena was focused on a drawing when she heard Maya say, you have a visitor. Lena didn't look up. Tell them to send an email. It's not that kind of visitor. Lena sighed. Who is it then? Maya gave a small smile. Your billionaire. Lena looked up instantly. Adrian Knight stood in the doorway. White shirt. No jacket. No tie. Yet he still commanded the attention of the entire room. Lena stood up. You didn't need to come here. Adrian walked in. I wanted to see where you work. Lena crossed her arms. This isn't a museum. Adrian looked around. The blueprints. The material samples. The natural light pouring through the windows. No, he said, but it's far more interesting than my office. Lena raised an eyebrow. Are you trying to be impressive? Adrian looked at her. I think you're a hard person to impress. Lena gave a small smile. Correct. Maya stood in the background, whispering to a colleague. Told you so. Lena laid the drawings on the table. All right. Penthouse. You wanted to see the concept sketches. Adrian stepped closer. They stood on opposite sides of the table, just centimeters apart. Lena began to explain. Open space. Natural light. Fewer walls. Minimalist furniture. Adrian wasn't looking at the drawings. He was looking at her. The way she spoke. The way her hands moved as she explained. The way her eyes lit up when she talked about design. Lena stopped. Are you listening? Adrian nodded. I am. Then what did I just say? Adrian shrugged. Light. Space. Less furniture. Lena stared at him for a few seconds, then said, You're staring at me. Yes. You should be looking at the drawings. Adrian tilted his head. I'd rather look at you. Lena felt her heart skip a beat. She quickly looked away. You really don't know how to have a normal conversation. Adrian laughed. I'm learning. Lena turned back. Her gaze was slightly softer. Are you always like this? Like what? Blunt. Adrian thought for a few seconds. No, only with you. A stretch of silence followed. Lena watched him. That strange sensation returned. As if they had stood this close to each other before. But she couldn't remember where. As for Adrian, he was looking at her with a completely different thought. 15 years. 15 years of searching. And now, she stood right in front of him. Knowing nothing. Adrian thought of the bracelet in his wallet and wondered, would she ever remember? Chapter 10. The Night of Truth. There was a truth that Lena Carter began to realize after a few days of working with Adrian Knight. He was dangerous. Not the kind of dangerous associated with hot-tempered or crude men. But a different kind. The kind of person who makes you feel seen, noticed, and worst of all, the kind who makes it impossible for you to stop thinking about them. 3 days later, the Aurelia Hotel penthouse. Lena stood in the middle of the vast room. Afternoon light flooded through the floor-to-ceiling glass. The entire city lay beneath their feet. Adrian stood behind her, hands in his pockets, observing her. Lena turned around. "All right," she said. "Here's the concept." She opened her tablet. A 3D design appeared. Open space, glass walls, dark wood, warm lighting. Adrian stepped closer. Very close. Too close. Lena felt his breath behind her shoulder. Her heart beat faster. Not out of fear, but something else. "You're distracting me," Lena said. Adrian tilted his head. "I'm just looking at the design. You're standing right behind me." "Correct. And breathing." Adrian gave a soft laugh. "I find it quite necessary." Lena turned. They were so close that with just a slight lean, they would touch. "You know," Lena said, "you have a habit of making everything complicated." Adrian looked at her, his gaze deeper than usual. "Is that what you think?" "Yes. For example." "For example." Lena spoke slowly, "the way you look at me." Adrian didn't answer. He only said, "Do you want me to look away?" Lena hesitated for a second. 1 second of silence. 2, 3. The air between them grew thick. Adrian reached out, gently tucking a stray lock of hair behind her ear. Lena stiffened. "Adrian," she said softly. "Yeah? What are you doing?" "Nothing." His voice was low. "Just." He paused, remembering something. Lena frowned. "What?" Adrian watched her for a few seconds, then shook his head. "It's not important." Lena crossed her arms. "You really are very strange." Adrian smiled faintly. "So I've been told." Later that evening, the hotel hosted a small reception. VIPs only, the project investors. Lena had originally intended to go home, but Adrian had said, "Stay." And for some reason, she had agreed. The party tonight was quieter than the last. Warm amber lights. Soft piano music. Lena stood on the balcony, champagne glass in hand. The night breeze was gentle. She heard footsteps behind her. "Hiding here, are you?" Adrian said. Lena didn't turn around. "I'm not hiding." "Then what are you doing?" "Breathing." Adrian stood beside her. "You need to breathe? After talking to 10 wealthy investors?" Lena said, desperately. Adrian laughed. "Fair point." A stretch of silence. Lena watched the city, then said, "Do you know what's weird?" Adrian turned to her. "What?" "You make me feel." She paused, familiar. Adrian said nothing. Lena continued, "As if I've met you somewhere before." Adrian looked at her, his expression shifting. "If you had met me," he said softly, "you would remember." Lena shrugged. "Maybe." Adrian took his wallet from his coat pocket. Lena didn't pay attention until he placed something on the small table by the balcony. A bracelet. A worn leather cord. A tiny metal tag. Lena looked at it. 1 second. 2, 3. Her brow furrowed. "That bracelet." Adrian spoke slowly. "You gave it to a boy." Time seemed to stop. Lena spun around to look at him. "You." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "How do you know?" Adrian looked her straight in the eye. "The rain," he said. "The alleyway. The bread. And the water." Lena felt her heart hammer. An old memory broke open. A boy. Injured. Trembling in the rain. She whispered, "Adrian?" Adrian nodded. "Yes." Lena took a step back. "It can't be. 15 years. Adrian said, "I kept my promise." Lena looked at the bracelet, then back at him. Her eyes were full of shock. "The boy in the rain," she whispered, "was you. Adrian Mim Kuoi Ni. I told you." He stepped closer. Just 1 step. The distance between them vanished. "There are some promises," he said, "that I never forget."
Don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more emotional romance audiobooks every day.